Hi, my name is Mitch King, and today's video I'll be showing you how Donald Trump can affect stock prices. I'll also show you examples of how other stocks are affected by news events. This is the Standard & Poor's 500 index, and we also refer to it as the S&P 500. Standard & Poor's is a rating organization, and they evaluate a lot of different investments, usually the investment grade or the quality, different bonds, government bonds, corporate bonds. They created this index called the S&P 500, and that's what we're looking at right here. What I've shown here in this yellow arrow, this happens to be the November 5th election for the President of the United States, or the 47th president. As we all know, Donald Trump won, and this is the reaction the market had not only during that day, because they anticipated with all the polls that he was leading in, it was moving up. And after that day, which this represents, one candle represents 1 day of trading, moved up over the following 4 days, 3.8%, as you see in this little box. I'm anticipating that this market is going to trend up over the next 2 or 3 months, as we've seen in the past. Let's take a look at some other news events that has surrounded Donald Trump, positively affected the market. Here's the previous one, September 11th. Now, just to give you other examples that do not relate to Donald Trump, was this one here on September 11, 2024, where the inflation data, such as consumer price index and jobs numbers, economic news, and this showed a slight increase in the inflation, which was less than the market was expecting, and the U.S. stock market took off and moved up after causing a little bit of initial jitters in selling, but it was a strong buying that day. And as you can see from September 11th on let's take a look, this is September 12th, the next day, and pretty much goes up for a couple weeks. And that's a pretty big move right there. 58.06 on the futures to 56.17 is another 3.3% on this stretch right in here. This is another news event going back to August 2nd, where the U.S. Labor Department said that they've added only 114,000 jobs, well below what the forecast was, 175,000 jobs that day. So this had a negative effect. An important thing to know is when the market expects a certain number, like in jobs or inflation or earnings for individual stocks, that if it beats these numbers, then what the market expects, and when I say the market, that's usually investors, traders, investment brokerage firms make their analysis, and they say, here's what we expect on an average, and if it beats these numbers, the market tends to go up. The market tends to move up, and in this case, the inflation data and the jobs was really causing a lot of nervousness based on what the Federal Reserve might do to increase rates or decrease or not change it. So as you can see, there's quite a big change there. Let's go back here. Some news we had from back in May 5th. Trump announced a comprehensive economic plan on tax cuts, deregulation, investment in infrastructure. That usually means highways, bridges, roads, all that stuff. So investors anticipated that Trump was going to be pro-business, and this would stimulate the economic growth. We had a positive reaction there. This was 3.8% between the news that was released here up to this point here, and you can see the market continued up. More news events continue to come up. In May 10th, a rally that Trump emphasized his commitment to reducing corporate taxes. He talked about lowering it from 21 to 15, and then he modified it further, saying he would give the 15% corporate rate to those people who manufacture in the United States to try to build more jobs in the U.S. So May 15th, another Trump campaign released details of a proposed trading agreement aimed at promoting American business, and that was viewed positively. Let's take a look at another chart that I want to show you on an individual company called Walmart. We all know that they have thousands of stores, and let's take a look at their earnings. This is just specifically the Walmart stock. The last news that they had was November 19th, which was their earnings that they released was better than expected, and the market really responded favorably. That little dash mark right there was the next day. I wrote that in. This is where I purchased myself, somewhere around 86.58, and this is the end of today, which is December 2nd. So it's trending up pretty well. The reason why I made that decision was I went back and looked at how their earnings releases have been better than expected and the corresponding increase in price. And that was the assumption I made there. There's the last one on August 14th, also beat expectations, just trended up really nicely. Also, my reasoning here that, as you see this little spike right here, is the day after President Trump won the election. There's a bullish mood in the market, and I thought the retail was going to benefit from that when I saw earnings were up. I also purchased Costco, stock symbol COST, which is a discount retail, which is a discount store as well. We can go back a little further. I went back and saw, what date is this? May 16, 2024, same thing. You can see price, how it gapped up. By the way, you'll see how volume was really high on these days. Prices usually go up, and that's what you're seeing here with Walmart. You can see back in here, there's an earnings release. You can use this information to evaluate whether the price is going to go up. Look at the historical charts and go back a year and a half and see what their pattern is. Walmart's a very consistent pattern. Let me compress this for you. Let me show you what it looks like to show more historical data. Let's go back even a couple years, and you'll see very similar kind of behavior. This one here probably, let's look. Yeah, this was earnings back on November 16th. They did not beat their earnings. They didn't beat their earnings significantly enough, so it sold off a little bit. These are volume spikes. There's clearly some sort of news events, and this is how news affects prices. And I'm just going to put little dots here. This was an earnings announcement here. So these dots are high volume days that correspond with the news event. It'd be worth your time to study how that affects your holdings, whatever stocks that you hold, long or even short. You can get these reports just by doing a Google search or ChatGPT, which this is. You could get it from CNBC or your brokerage firms and find out when earnings release. This is Walmart, as I was talking about earlier, and you can get these dates, what the expected earnings per share, which is right here, and what their revenue expectation is. And when the market beats it again, when the companies beat the market's estimate or anticipated earnings, you get a nice pop on these prices. You can get earnings information for all the major companies from your brokerage firm. It should be all free. You can do it on Google searches. But your brokerage firm, if you have an account with a brokerage firm, whether it's Schwab or Ameritrade or Robinhood, you could get all this stuff for free on what earnings are expected for all the major companies. And it'd be worth your time to prepare with the companies that you hold, these stocks, for a long period of time. You might start following what the market expects these earnings to be. All this information is available for you. Affects prices. Here's a stock I started watching a few days ago. And today, this far right one here, 10 days ago, this price was about under $3. 3 weeks ago, it was somewhere around $2 price. I'm just showing you here how the news that was discussed, the news release here on November 27th, the day before Thanksgiving, I believe, the day before Thanksgiving was Donald Trump became an advisor to this company. And I suspect this is why this stock price started running here right after the election that he won. So this is $2.50. You can see 247 on the right side. You'll see the price, and it just went up as high as $23.50. And I think we're going to start seeing some of these really big run-ups on a few stocks, as we saw 3 to 4 years ago. Be really careful with those. Do small position sizes. Don't leverage yourself and go for broke and make it big, or you go bust. Don't get in that kind of position. You don't need to do that, or some good news. But I'm just trying to show Trump really did affect this price. And this isn't a stock you should be buying now. It came from $2 to almost $24. It's very likely to come down to $8, $6, $7, $8, $10, under $10 pretty quickly here. So this is why it's dangerous. Now here's another example. This is the crude oil, and crude oil is what controls our gasoline prices. If crude oil prices go down, so does the amount of cost that we pay at the gas station. Now this is the day of election that closed with it being down and really volatile. You can see price dropped all the way down. This is a daily candle, so it represents the high price of this was $72.41 and a low of $69.55 per barrel. That's a big swing in a price in one day. So you can see the price here at $72 came down in the following 10 days to $66.50, and that's quite a big drop. So I would imagine prices over the period of this next year or so are going to drop on this crude oil. Crude oil was down as low as $20 per barrel back in President Trump's first 4 years. If you learned something today, if you could subscribe, then YouTube will show you our next video when you log into their homepage.